Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another week of Good Guy Sports. We have a great show for you here. Obviously, January, we got some playoff football, both in the college and the NFL game. And Good Guy Sports is here to break it down for you. I'm joined by Jackson Gerke, Mike Roby, Blake Limberger, our usual guest, and a returning special guest. We had to bring him in for the biggest college game of the year, Grant Radakovich. Thank you for joining us, man.
I appreciate you guys having me. It's always a pleasure.
And of course, we got to start on the show today with a preview of the college game of the year. Of course, the top-ranked Indiana Hoosiers taking on the Miami Hurricanes for the CFP championship game. And this has been quite the college football playoffs this year, we have to say. Not many people would have had this on their scorecard at the beginning of the CFP or beginning of the season, really. Indiana versus Miami. Obviously, Indiana had a improved season last year under Kurt Signetti, but it's really been the play of Mendoza this year, the Heisman quarterback that has carried these top-ranked Hoosiers 15-0, looking to crown off a perfect season. And then, of course, we have the Miami Hurricanes, the 10th ranked playoff team coming in from the ACC. Some people weren't sure about them coming into this playoffs. Other teams from the ACC obviously getting in there, but it's made for a really interesting matchup. And I think, obviously, given some of the results that we've seen from Indiana's side, especially dominant victories against the likes of Alabama and Oregon, and then of course Miami, dominant defensive displays against Ohio State, Texas A&M, and then a big win against Ole Miss to get here. But Grant, I'll start with you. You're our special guest. You've been on this Miami program for a while, given your connections. They have a tall task in their home stadium against the Heisman champion, undefeated Indiana Hoosiers. So, first of all, what do you think of this matchup, and how do you think Miami can mitigate some of the weapons Indiana has?
Certainly. And I think that was a great analysis as you kind of lead into this. The Hurricanes have they've only, I think, done two things to lose games this year, and that's really penalties and truly just unforced errors in the area. So turnovers and things of that nature. I think for seeing both teams, I'm fortunate that I've seen both teams play live. In the past couple weeks, I was at the Cotton Bowl as well as work in the Peach Bowl in a position where I volunteer. And like, I think seeing both teams live, I think we're in for a real heavyweight fight. I think is the best way I can describe it. You've got two teams built from the inside out, offensive lines, defensive lines first, and then obviously some explosive skill players and two signal callers that, again, one of them had a little bit of a rocky road and has a reputation, especially where I live here in Atlanta, where, the Georgia fans kind of, ran him out of town and kind of wrote him off as like, hey, like this guy's not serious. And, I think he, in the last game especially, had to go win the game and did so in a convincing fashion. So I think like, his Carson Beck's play and of course Fernando Mendoza has just been stellar. I mean, he like every bit of just he's going to digest the play. He's going to unlock where you're going to be the weakest and he's going to expose it. So I think both teams really, you don't get to the national championship if you're a couple of slouches, right? You get to the national championship, because you're built from the right ways, and of course, you've had some luck along the way, right? Like I think both teams would agree. You go into the Penn State game for Indiana, that was a dogfight. They had a dogfight against Ohio State, and of course Miami against Ole Miss, and a few other teams as well. So both teams have been tested, so it should just be an awesome matchup.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm excited for this game, and I think Jackson, I'll jump to you next. I think this is a fun matchup. Miami playing at their home stadium. Not many people thought they would get to this point. I think people were expecting another, Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, Oregon kind of matchup here. So Jackson, first of all, what do you make of this matchup, and what do you think the key is going to be in this game? If Miami wants to pull off the upset, we should say they're about a touchdown underdog in this one.
The only advantage that Miami has to win this game, and I did check. By the way, Indiana is a 8 point in 5.5 favorite
Eight and a
to win
half.
this
Yeah,
game
yeah.
for the spread, 8.5 spread. Yes, and so and so if Miami wants to pull off the upset, the only way I see them win this game is dominating the line of scrimmage on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, and that's really the area that Indiana struggles with, and that's probably the only way I see them winning in that game is that side of the ball. So otherwise, Indiana is going to be chasing something in history that since Yale did it back in the 1800s. So which is crazy to believe, but if I had to go back, the last time a team had accomplished a 16-0 season, that would be Joe Burrow and Ed Orgeron Cajun LSU Tigers.
Oh yeah,
Who,
what a
by
team
the
that
way,
was.
yes,
Well, they
and,
were 15-0, Jackson.
They got an
well,
extra
yeah,
game now.
well,
They got
yeah,
an extra game.
well, yeah, but yes, well, that's right, and
Indiana,
and
I mean, they could have been
and
17-0 if they played in the
well,
first
yeah,
round, right?
and also a fun
Yeah.
fact: that game was also played in its home state. Only in New Orleans, so you get the
Oh, right,
idea
right,
of it.
right.
But this will be the first game played at home for on the biggest stage in the national championship for the Miami Hurricanes fans. And if you think about it, Michael Irving, Way Lewis will be there because I know Michael Irving, the biggest celebrity guy on TV. He always never misses a game live, and he always is like always become the celebrity guy on the field for this press pass for whatever he does on the field, and he never misses a game. Being by far one of the great teams with Jimmy Johnson back in those days that won the national championship
Yeah, there's
back in the day,
good
and
history there in that
Ray
program
Lewis
for
and those
sure.
guys. I mean, they got a lot of history down there with all the championships they won for at least 5 of them in a row. The most by far the most in school history. If they were to add their 6, they would just it would just be a start of a dynasty in that for college football in the landscape. But
Big shout.
that's
yeah.
right. But I still think Indiana is still the better team in this game simply because they have Kurt Cinetti, Fernando Mendoza, and Omar Cooper, who, by the way, the reason why Indiana got this far is because if you go back, they made great, huge, clutch plays that nobody has ever seen before in all of college football history. You go back to mid-November, on November 8th, in an early November game in a shootout against Penn State in Happy Valley in the fourth quarter, where they were once trailed, and what was the touchdown game driving touchdown drive to take the lead in the fourth quarter, where it got very exciting and close because of how great college football is, and by far that was, I think, if not the greatest catch of the year in college football, but in all the Big Ten, and that's really how they got this point. Is how great of a team that nobody can even think of that we probably won't see again, and how Kurt Cinetti just recruits on a very high level because he's doing it in the transfer portal and getting all those big time star players, in recruiting.
Old players too.
That's right.
They're all old.
That's right, Grant, and they're doing it on a very high level, and that's
Experience, we say.
Yes, a lot of experience, and there are a lot of great reasons why Indiana Hoosiers are one win away from accomplishing something that nobody has seen in college football for a very long time, or ever in our generation or lifetime.
So it sounds like you're leaning towards the Hoosiers then, huh?
I am, because they are a 5.5 favorite, and
You're trusting the spread.
I am because the betting favorite in the national championship has won the last the last 4 meetings, the last previous national championship games. Whenever a team spread is favored, that's how they and they've all covered, and that's
fair enough.
And that's why I am all in on the Hoosiers to win this game.
Jackson, not so fast. Okay, listen here, Jackson. Indiana You can put lipstick on a pig, Jackson. Indiana was a basketball team, is a basketball college, and will always be a basketball college. Jackson, don't look at the record books. Look at the heart. I told you from the beginning of this year that this is the year for the U Part 3. Michael Irvin's going to get his belt out this weekend, like you mentioned already. He's going to slap the wall, slap the coolers. Miami is playing at home. You're going to have the 8th floor crew is going to be out in full force.
Oh
Maybe even,
man.
can we get a Greg Olson confirmation, Grant? Is Greg coming down?
I have not heard a confirmation. I can confirm that Michael Irvin will be there for sure. And I will be there. That's the only two people I can confirm.
There's a lot of Canes alumni. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
Well,
Ray Lewis was a part of that, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
Ray
yeah.
Lewis,
He's,
Ed
I'd
Reed.
be
Yeah,
shocked if he wasn't there. I'd be
I
shocked
think
if Ray.
I think that they're gonna have a lot of people from the championship teams that were won in Miami. I believe there's a couple of Orange Bowls. I believe the 83 or 82 Canes won their championship at the Orange Bowl. And then there's another one where they won the national championship in Miami. So this is not actually the first time this has happened. If they were to pull out the victory, that they'd win it in front of a home crowd. So I think that all those teams will have a responsibility to be there, and kind of like they say in the U part, part one, like impart wisdom and be on the sideline and be present.
yeah,
Is Jimmy Johnson going to be there?
Mhm.
I saw
I don't.
Jimmy in Texas, so
Let me ask you this, Grant. Who's going to be in the? Are you going to be in a paddock? Who's renting out the paddocks for this game? The F1 paddocks. Are you going to be in one of those?
oh no, I'm going on. I'm making it as simple as possible. I'm going on the bus, and I'm going to be sitting in the club and in the club seats with my brother and his wife and my aunt and uncle and my mom. My mom and dad will be up with some of the CFP folks. So I think that'll be the setup for us. But yeah, there's tell you what, a lot of cash to get in there and do a box. I believe there was somebody told me that there was a box going for like 1.4 million. You get two
Oh,
parking spots and
Mm,
you get I think you get 12 tickets or something like that. It's like
no
hot
there's
way.
ticket.
with food and bev. It's a hot ticket. Think about it. The Indiana University's living alumni, 800,000 strong, and it's the biggest in the country. So, and they've never seen any kind of success like this. So,
No, they were in the
So,
not top 10 on ESPN's list of football. They lived in the not top 10.
yeah,
oh
it's
yeah,
an untapped market from a football perspective for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and they've traveled. I think I had Coach Signetti's wife as I was hosting for the Peach Bowl, and I had her, and I was asking her about how the trips have been, and again, just like in Atlanta, it was 90-10 Indiana folks. Again, you saw it at the Rose Bowl. Again, a lot of Indiana folks traveling out there because they've never been on a run like this, and again, like you want to take advantage of it when your team's in a position like this, and you go to the games where they are played, and I mean it was like an Indiana home game inside Mercedes-Benz last Friday.
But listen, obviously, I'm Miami all the way. Miami's going to win the game, Jackson. I told you guys that at the beginning of the show that when the playoffs started, Miami was going all the way. Uh, but one quick question, Grant, is Kurt Signetti at this time next year, will he be the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders?
Yeah, Blake's been on this one. He's got the package. We've Jackson as well mentioned package deal Mendoza Snetti. I feel like Kurt's going to stay at Indiana. I think he's building there personally, but he's gotten a lot of attention over the past obviously this playoff run, right?
Yeah, I think like where he's built the programs that he's been at. He hadn't been one to kind of jump around like a Lane Kiffin or anything like that. I feel like he's got some roots in Bloomington, and I think that he's want to work and make this thing a powerhouse. Before he would do anything like that, you look at guys like that have jumped to the league pretty early. Nick Saban, from LSU to the Miami Dolphins, and as somebody, Nick Saban's one of his mentors and somebody he worked for. I would assume that he would caution him, I'm sure he would run that by him before he would, he'd seek some advice from somebody who'd done it before. And I think that he would get Nick Saban could have been, again, LSU could have won 20 national championships if had Nick Saban stayed at LSU for, before moving on to coach the Miami Dolphins. So I think that he would definitely heed some advice before he'd do that. That's a hot take though. I think again Mendoza, I think for sure surefire going to be a Raider, but and he fits that mold perfectly. I think that'll be awesome. But yeah, I don't know that Kurt will be falling with him.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Mike, I want to jump to you on this matchup. Is it
Yeah.
my question to you, is it a case for the Canes unsettling Mendoza, getting to the quarterback, kind of interrupting the flow of the Indiana offense? Because up to this point, it looks like they've been able to score whenever they want. So is it a case of that Canes defense trying to shut down what Indiana's doing for you?
Well, yeah, the it's going to be a battle for the line of scrimmage. I mean, that's you got two heavyweights. I think Grant was saying it. Jackson is right. It's at the line of scrimmage. I mean, I think the two best teams in the CFP are going to meet Monday night. And you look at Miami's offensive line. Their right tackle is 6'6", 335. Their left tackle is 6'9", 348. I mean, that's huge. So they've got to get to Mendoza.
Yeah.
And you look at Mendoza, the last two games they've played, he's thrown 8 touchdowns and 5 incomplete passes.
Mm.
I mean, and look at what Indiana did. I mean, they manhandled both Alabama and Oregon. I mean, combined 94-25. I mean,
It's not an accident, is it?
it's not an accident. I think you probably have the two best defenses going after each other. And you know, it's going to be a tough game. But Mendoza's going to be playing at home.
Yep.
I believe he grew up in Miami. So there's going to be a lot of Mendoza jerseys at Hard Rock.
For sure,
And
for sure.
I um in Indiana had 45 sacks over the course of the year.
Hmm.
One school had more. They had 47. That was the U.
Mm.
Yo,
It's a good stat,
This is
Mike.
the sack bowl, huh?
it's that. Yeah.
But all that aside, Indiana, I got Indiana winning by 3.
Tight one. Okay. Okay.
Oh, Jackson. How about that? How
Ooh.
about that, Jackson?
Well, me and Mike are all on Indiana except for you, BL Weinberger, because although I will say, Fernando Mendoza, a local Miami kid, grew up 10 mi- I looked it up geographically. It's 10 miles away from Hard Rock Stadium where the game is being played, and it's and really this game is gonna have a lot of storylines in this, and this is gonna
Yes.
be.
Jackson loves the storyline.
Trust me,
Did
I'm all over
Miami
on this.
did Miami offer Mendoza? Did he want to play for Miami? And was there a turn rejected offer?
He,
Was there
he
an
started
offer?
at, he started at Cal, right, and then transferred to Indiana.
Yes,
Yeah.
he started with the Cal Golden Bears, but I think Mario Cristobal
He's
tried to
definitely not
offer
in
him,
Miami.
but it
He
was
was a long way from Miami at Cal.
yeah, all the way from the other side of the West Coast there. But I think Mario Cristobal just had tried to get him, but I think it was too much of the price to offer for that transfer portal that he was targeting. But aside from that, I will say this: that the biggest game in college football, which I know that for when we move on to the next topic, that I bet you that Mark Fletcher Jr. will is the only player that has to make big plays on, especially on third down or fourth down territory. Even when the game is only down by at least, let's say, 3 points in the third or fourth quarter, or in the first half, or you want to like score, get the running game going, or just or passing game, or just he's really get the running game going for the Hurricanes. Is the only way they dominate the offensive line, is the only way they beat Indiana is your best playmaker on the team. But aside from that, that it should be what I'm calling it, the biggest game in the college football season, which is known as the Super Bowl of college football. That's what I'm calling it.
Right. No, no, it's fair. We have the storylines, we have the teams, we have the matchup.
Yeah.
So it's a big one. Grant, I won't ask you to make a prediction, but I want to ask you for your expertise. Obviously, you've been there and done it in terms of college football. We're talking about how Miami can neutralize this Indiana team. They put 38 on Bama, they put 56 on Oregon. But like from your perspective, how difficult will it be for the Canes to actually go out there and try to stop and make this a low scoring game and do what Bama and Oregon couldn't do?
Yeah, I think, even um I think Mendoza's going to get his. He's going to get a couple here and there. I think if you keep pressure on him consistently, and if they get negative plays in the beginning of drives, so negative play first down, negative play second down, and then again Mendoza can beat you, but if you can get some pressure on him, I think you get him running around a little bit, get him off his kilter. I think that's really the best shot that Miami has. I don't know that pressure necessarily needs to be brought from any kind of exotics or anything like that. Because again, Mendoza's good enough that where if he recognizes that he's going to fry you. So I think it's really a matter of if Miami can get pressure with four people, and really Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor are able to come from the end positions and really be able to apply a lot of pressure. I think that's going to be Miami's best shot. As well as on the flip side, if their offensive line can lean on that defensive line, that there is a size difference. And now again, look, I don't after watching Indiana and watching Oregon had a similar, they had a larger offensive line and it didn't really matter, right? Like the defensive line played well, so I wouldn't want to ever disparage anybody. But again, there's just a weight difference between the O line for Miami and the D line for Indiana, and if they can expose that and lean on them and have long sustained drives. I think that Miami has a good shot if they control the ball. I mean, look, against Ole Miss, they had the ball for 41 minutes. The game should have been much different had they not made the mistakes and shot themselves in the foot. And that's the one thing I think if Miami plays more similar to the way they played against Ohio State, where it was a little bit more mistake free. In that football game, there was not an accepted penalty until the 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So if you
Wow.
think about that from the perspective of like nobody had any negativity, outside of negative plays outside of just that were influenced by some laundry. So I think if we can have a similar feel, I think if you get some calls, holding calls on the Indiana offensive line and some pressure, I think again all of that to be said is the kind of a recipe for Miami's victory. Now again, the flip side, Indiana, if they can do what they do, which is road grade you on the offensive line and be able to run the ball and then make a couple plays on defense, and turn them over quickly, like could easily get out of hand. I mean, I think everybody in the whole entire stadium knew the game was over as soon as that kid picked that ball off against Oregon.
Right. So
Like it
worst
was
worst possible start
done.
for Oregon, right? Yeah.
It was done. I mean, and the whole stadium went insane. Now, to Oregon's credit, they went down and scored, but I think like it really, there wasn't really there wasn't a lot of momentum that ever built up. So I think again, you got to play the mo and be able to get a sustained drive and really end every game, every drive with a kick, no turnovers. You got to play clean. It's the same stuff that they always say, but again, it's a matter of executing it. And if we see the Miami versus Ole Miss, I think this will be a blowout, and I'll be going home and very disappointed. But if we see the Miami that played Ohio State, I think that will be a really really good point. And I love the sack stat that Mike Roby brought up. Like that, I think will be whoever ends up with more at the end of the season here will be the one holding the trophy up.
Yeah, so it seems like really the key for a Miami victory, if you're going to take the Canes in this game, is going to be a low scoring game. Is that what we're saying, right?
I think so. I think a first one to 21 points would win. I don't see a shootout. Now, look, again, things could be surprising. People can be tight, but I think that a low scoring like 21-17 kind of get a stop at the end kind of feel is what I would be if Miami were to be. And that would be my score prediction and my thought. So
Give
Okay.
me what do we know about these kickers? It seems like so many of these games come to kickers, and even in the NFL lately, we've had trouble with kickers. Do we have two solid veteran kickers on these teams if it comes down to that?
I think so. I think the guy from Indiana, if I'm not mistaken, is like 30, 28 years old or something like that. He played professional something else. He had a wild last name. I looked at it whenever I was down there last week. So I think he's, again, a mature guy. And then again, the Miami kicker, he got a bad rap after that Texas A&M game, but I think people don't realize how windy it was in that stadium. My dad was telling me that like he was asking the Texas A&M folks like, hey, like, what's the deal with this wind? Like, is this something you guys have experienced before? And they were like, well, we've never played in December here before, so we don't know. And it is a good point. Like, they've never played a football game in December at the Texas A&M Stadium, so having the wind there was, kind of not a shock, I guess, or kind of a shock to everybody. But that's why I think he had a bad game. But I mean, he's been solid since that time. So I think both those the kickers can be trusted, but only so far. As far as you can trust a kicker.
Yeah, yeah. Should be clear conditions in South Florida as well on a nice Monday night, hopefully. So should be a good atmosphere for a great end of the football to the college football season. But yeah, I guess we're split here, Canes, Hoosiers. So if I'm the fifth vote, I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna stay out of it, and I'm gonna leave a split here. I'm gonna sit in the fence here, Jackson, and I'm gonna say, you know what? Who's the real winner here, Jackson? I'm not picking Indiana. I'm not picking Miami. I'm picking college football as the winner. You
Love
know
it.
why, Jackson? Because I think we got a great matchup with one fan base in particular that's been starved of success in Indiana football, and I think a fan base in Miami who's been waiting for success and has not had it in the recent, past couple of years. So I think from that perspective, Jackson, I'll give the last word to you. I think we're, you know, win or lose either of these teams. I think it's been a pretty exciting CFP, and I think we're ending on a pretty good note here for the college football season, Jackson.
I agree, Blake, and it would certainly be a great storybook ending for the college football season, no matter what happens Monday night. And until the final whistle blows and the clock hits zero, that's when you know that this college football season will be upon past us and something that we can remember and look back on for what this college football season has brought to us for the entirety with all these great teams and so much excitement for the passion of the sport that I really love the most and how I really love the sport because of how exciting it is and you really brought the passion and really the fans and the teams and the cold and really the atmosphere of it. There's nothing quite like it, and I think as a college football fan, you just gotta really enjoy it, soak it on in, and there's nothing to it. It's just another great season of college football that's about to be in the books, and I think we're going to be in store for a great one on Monday night. Should be a great game to watch either way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Now,
uh I,
go
I
ahead,
I
Grant.
agree with your sentiment. Like I think for all intents and purposes, this is the last game of the year, and as a fan, you just in general, whether your team wins, loses, or draws, like we're looking at, a few eight or I guess like what are we looking at, like 6, 7 months before, we get teams back in the saddle and start, going back at it again. So it's kind of bittersweet, whatever the outcome is, I'll be kind of a little bit bummed out because I know that the college football season is closed and, we got to wait a little bit of time to get back to it. We take for granted the game at, 12 o'clock. That's a blowout that we're watching, but that we're like, whatever, we'll turn something else on. It's like, football is a finite amount of time, and you only get a few, you only get a handful of Saturdays to enjoy. And in this case, a Monday, like, so I think you put the nail on the head. I think we had a great CFP. We've had a great season. And it's going to be a little bittersweet at the end that we got to see it end. But hopefully they put on a great show and we have a great outcome at the end.
No, absolutely. Well said. Well said. Before we jump to a little bit of NFL news and matchup chat, Grant, I'd be curious to get your perspective, last thing on college football in terms of potential changes to the playoff format or changes to the way teams are allocated. I'd be curious to get your perspective on whether or not you think the format as it stands this year is successful in terms of like accomplishing what they're trying to do in college football, or any changes you think that you would like to see going forward to the playoff format?
Well, I think not a lot of people know, but like the CFP not only is like obviously a celebration of the sport, and you culminate with the championship game on Monday, but like on the days leading up, there are meetings in which the conference commissioners, the Notre Dame athletic director, are all meeting in order to determine the format as we move forward. Right. Rich Clark, the chairman of the CFP, who just took over for Bill Hancock last year, all of them are meeting over this time period. So it's not just a trip, it's not just a celebration, but it's a business trip for them as well to get their points across. And of course, Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti and Jim Phillips and all of the commissioners, Brett Yormark, are all there, the Power Four, to be able to determine what the future looks like. So again, what's been thrown out there is the 16 team playoff. You've got a 24 team playoff that I think the Big Ten has been pushing a lot of. I'm an FCS, I played in the FCS for 4 years before I went to my 1 year in Clemson. And like, you know, the format there is a 24 team playoff. And again, you get a varying level of competition in that. I think, you saturate it if you go to that level. Because I mean, if we look at the top 25, all but one team would make the playoff. And like, do we really want to watch, Georgia Tech and, somebody else get blown out, at Ohio State, right? Like, again, not picking on Georgia Tech. I think they had a great season, but like, I think ultimately, we've got 12 now. Even now, you get the blowouts, right? You still get, again, obviously you get a dominant team like Indiana, and like it's a different perspective. But I think like, do we want to continue that? And if we do that, as far as for the kids, you got to make sure that school starts in January, right? Like you got to have a time period to be able to get enrolled in classes and drop ad and like all these things that a lot of people don't talk about. So I think that they need to take all that into account if they want to expand this thing. Well, we got to start a week earlier in August. And so we need to start having some football games. The week zero becomes week one. Week zero, the week before week zero becomes week zero. And so that we can get everything done. I think there's been a lot of sense about the calendar. I mean, we look at Lane Kiffin's situation. And now look, I mean, could he have easily taken care of that by not going to LSU and believing in the program that he built himself versus trying to go stand on the shoulders of other people? You can kind of hear my tone on that. Like, yeah, like, but we've got coaches that are recruiting on Monday through Thursday and then going to coach in the game against for another team, and it's just you got kids entering the transfer portal when they're still playing in the game. I mean, there's a kid at Miami who entered the transfer portal. He's now up in Indiana in school, right? Like it's insane. Yeah, so like you think about finish the season, get a calendar and get a transfer portal window that makes sense. May is a dead time for college football, for everybody. And I think Saban said this, like, got to figure out, hey, like put the transfer portal in May. That means you've gone through spring practice. You're not going to play. Again, in the way that we've, had, situations pan out, like as somebody who did the graduate transfer and had to learn an offense in a summer, it's doable. It's not rocket science. So yeah, of course, coaches would prefer to get the kid in there for spring ball, but you know, transfer portal in for the summer, get there, learn your teammates, grow together, go through summer camp, win the job that you want to win. I mean, I think it's all there and it can make sense. It's just a matter of whether the adults in the room can actually put it together the best way.
Yeah, for sure. It seems like getting the right calendar locked down is important before anything else is adjusted.
Yeah,
Obviously, like having the right crossover between when players are leaving, coming, going, coaches, the same thing. So,
certainly.
lots to decide on the college football front. Not sure we're going to solve it here today on Good Guys Sports, um, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a really exciting game, a fun end of the season, and yeah, lots to look forward to next year. I think for a lot of these teams. Jackson, what do you say we jump to a little bit of NFL news? I think since
Sure, let's do
we
it.
mentioned last week on the show, we previewed the wild card round in the NFL, and we mentioned some of the coaching vacancies. But even since then, we've had a couple of new developments, mainly in the AFC North, with after 19 years, Jackson, Mike Tomlin has left his post as the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. Really an end of an era in the AFC North because as well, John Harbaugh has left the Baltimore Ravens. And I guess we should update as much as we had. I think earlier today, as well as recorded on Thursday, it seems like Harbaugh is being linked to the New York Giants, the New York Football Giants, excuse me, job up there. So Jackson, let me start with you and get your reaction to Mike Tomlin leaving the Steelers and John Harbaugh leaving the Ravens, and looks like he's going to be heading to New York.
For Mike Tomlin, if you think about it, he was first hired on January 22nd, the same year that I first saw the same year for 18 years, 19 years. He's been there for almost 20 years. Mike Tomlin, who is by far the Steelers, the Art Rooney, from what I can understand, they had a very tough decision behind behind the closed doors on this meeting. And if you go back to the last that the Steelers have not won a single game in the postseason dating back to the 2016 season for that's 10 years ago. And
it's too long.
Way too long. And if you think about it, that what Mike Tomlin has built since he first arrived at Pittsburgh was the same year that iPhones were invented. And that's really that was really
Crazy.
I know, right? And that was when Tomlin got hired as the head coach that year. And so he's won a Super Bowl. He's won and lost a Super Bowl. He lost Super Bowl 45, and he lost Super Bowl and he won Super Bowl 43 against the Cardinals. So he's lost one and won one. He's never had a losing season, but he's had a losing postseason. But he's had a losing in the playoffs for 10 years straight. So that was the difference. And part of that is because their quarterback Aaron Rodgers has got too old. There's a lot of uncertainty if he should return to Pittsburgh or get traded or retire or retire as a player, and maybe he should go start a new life and be with his family to just really take a break. And for Tomlin's part, I'm hearing that he could be in our industry in broadcasting. I'm hearing rumors that he could go to he could possibly, well, a few things. He could take a year off and be with his family and just take a break, which I feel like he should be doing because who needs a break after all these years later? And secondly, he should go and be great on TV as a color commentator analyst. He could possibly, I say, Fox, CBS, NBC, or possibly one of the pregame shows on ESPN or NFL Network could be calling him.
Or maybe even Good Guy Sports.
I was going to say Good Guy Sports is going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I mean, I would love to have him as a guest, but I don't see that happening. But,
right, one-time guest. Not a permanent co-host.
We have standards, Jackson. We
have not a single, not 0% chance that we get Mike Tomlin on our show. By the way, and so
1%.
Got Radakovich. Why can't we get Mike Tomlin?
I think zero's harsh.
He's a very busy man, Blake. So just
not anymore.
Not anymore. He's got nothing to do.
He's got no job, man.
I know, but he's got other stuff. He's got his family and his kids.
Right,
you don't know that. And that's
Jackson.
That's
Let me.
Okay,
so Harbaugh
point here.
Harbaugh to the Giants. Give me your quick take. Do you like that move that just happened recently? It seems like is confirmed.
I do. I think it's a great hire. You think about it, the Giants. They have fired all their previous coaches since Tom Coughlin left, and I think this is a great hire because you can build a culture. They have a lot of Super Bowl history there, and much like the Steelers, by the way, which I can guarantee you about Mike Tomlin, that that the Steelers organization, the Rooney family, they never like to fire coaches, but I can guarantee before I get to the Giants job that for the job opening of in Pittsburgh that nobody that trust me on this that nobody in the Steel City ever wants to talk about or discuss rebuild. That's not a thing in Pittsburgh and the Steel City. Although although I will argue that it could happen depending on the quarterback situation and depending on how healthy they get, which were a lot of question marks for the team last season. But getting back to my point on the Giants job, John Harbaugh, he's won a Super Bowl with at least one with the Ravens and has he's been with the Ravens for 19 years since '08 and for a very long time and I think the Giants were like last in every category compared to the Ravens because of learning from Lamar Jackson and from that standpoint with the job winning for that team for the Ravens throwing a lot of question marks there depending on who should they hire as their head coach for that team. But for the Giants part, I think if you get because first of all the Giants last year the Giants head coach firings they fired Ben McAdoo and so they fired Ben McAdoo, Joe Judge, Steve Spurrier. The list goes on and on. Ben McAdoo. Tom Collins has been their long tenure by the team, but also to point out the division that I do want to point out that they do play in the NFC East in Uncle Mike's division with the Commanders. But I think if you get but the question mark heading into last season for where the Giants were is that they had Russell Wilson as a Hall of Fame quarterback last season, and he was really a bust in my opinion. And I mean, he was getting old. He was a Hall of Famer, but he was so old, and I think that I think that to me, benching Russell Wilson was I think the smart decision in my opinion. So I think replacing him and adding Jackson Dart, I feel like is the right decision for the team and for the organization. And
Yeah.
and Mike Neighbors went down in injury last season because he didn't stay healthy. So did Ben Scadaboo. So I feel like the Giants' offensive line, defensive line didn't stay healthy last season. But let's say if now look, they're 1-0 in January in the offseason, but I don't know about the regular season. But if the Giants, but that's a whole application for another day. But if the Giants do all the right things and push the right buttons and get the right pieces in place, and if they stay healthy and they have and they're off to a great start, which one game at a time, one day at a time, as I would say for most coaches out there in the league. But
Right.
if it all goes well and the Giants do the right thing, then I think they have a shot to at least
so you like the hire.
make the playoffs for the 2026 season is really all what I'm looking for. Meaning,
Yeah.
All right.
now, look, I'm not saying they're not going to make a Super Bowl run next season, but I'm saying that
You're stepping in the right direction.
If it all goes well, then I would say the Giants will win at least a playoff game. That's how
All
I see
right.
it.
Cash it. Let's go.
If I hear you right, what you're really saying is Mike Tomlin takes Dave Canales' spot in the Carolina Panthers. Is that what you're trying to say?
Whoa.
I don't know about that, but
I don't know.
I didn't hear any rumors about
Dave
that.
Canales just won the NFC South, Blake. I mean, you shouldn't be running him out of town anytime soon, right?
I heard Mike Tomlin's daughter goes to UGA, so maybe he needs to go take that Falcons job.
Ooh, that's not
Wow.
bad. That's not bad. I think the
Speaks.
only hiccup with Tomlin is that he's under contract, so a team would have to trade
That's right.
assets
That's right.
for him. So I think
One
it's
more
more
year.
likely that he takes a year off, but I would not mind him at all coaching the Falcons. Grant, that's a good shout.
I
Hey,
think
and I just-
A remarkable story about the Steelers. For the last 50 years, their head coaches, Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin.
That's cool. That's
Crazy.
cool.
That's it. There you go.
Let's talk about a model of consistency and again, like relativity versus the Giants, who have fired 3 coaches in the 2020s. So and again, you look at kind of the difference in how organizations are run. I think that hopefully the Steelers can get somebody in there that are is going to be
Yeah.
another generational run, but we'll
Yep.
see.
Yeah. Rumor has it that Harbaugh is recruiting his offensive coordinator from the Ravens to the Giants.
Mr.
Mm,
Munkin.
wow.
Yes.
So it
Mhm.
could be a full on sinking ship there
That
in
would be
Baltimore.
good for Jackson Dart.
You need
Although,
to learn how to.
As a Commander fan, I don't like this.
Makes you a
yeah,
bit nervous as a Commander
I
fan,
was
huh?
just going to say because yeah, it
You're
would,
over there looking at Dan Quinn, being
and
like, oh,
so
I don't know about
too,
that guy anymore.
and so too will the Philadelphia Eagles after their tough loss, and
Well,
now
they
the
need
and
a new OC, don't they? So
they do.
They're looking at Cliff Kingsbury,
Old Mike
which
McDaniel.
I would say
which I
Mike
don't like.
McDaniel would be if the Eagles get Mike McDaniel, Mike, you better watch out because that'd be a heck of an acquisition for them, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
and then the Cowboys, they're just having so many problems on
I
the
wouldn't even bring about
defense
that.
side of
They're a
the
mess,
offense and
man.
defense side of the ball. They're
The
Jerry Jones
Cowboys
and
are
those
one ownership away from a championship.
and
Yeah,
Dak
exactly.
Prescott. There are a lot of question marks on him, and a lot of uncertainty for Jerry Jones and those Cowboys.
All right, Jackson. I want to jump to some of the matchups that we got this weekend in the NFL. Obviously, it's divisional round. Pretty entertaining wild card round, you have to say. Some big comeback wins. Some teams disappointing, but let's start with the games on Saturday, Jack. We got the Buffalo Bills coming off of an exciting victory in Jacksonville. A lot of people are hot on Josh Allen and the Bills. There's no Mahomes, there's no Lamar standing in the way in the AFC. What is standing in their way is a trip to Mile High, taking on the one seed Broncos. A lot of people are kind of down. Denver at home, 1.5 point favorite. I mean, obviously Buffalo's not favored, but still, you can tell that the Bills are getting a lot of respect and love, and rightfully so. Josh Allen has, he's won playoff matchups. He's been there. The likes of Bo Nix and the Broncos team. This Broncos team possibly still people not want to see them go out there and execute on the playoffs before they buy in. But once in the AFC for a reason, right? You have to give them their respect. But I don't know. I mean, Jackson, what do you think of this game? Is this a case of Josh Allen fairy tale run, or is this a case of the Broncos are being a bit undervalued here in that defense, man?
The one thing I like to add on that
Quickly,
is
by
that
the way, we got like
is
10
that
minutes left, so
well, yeah, is that you're playing in the altitude, meaning it's going to have a different kind of weather feel out there. So as for the game, two things for you: Josh Allen and get the ball to James Cook.
simple as that.
That's right. They're really that simple. As for Denver, yes, Bo Nix is a great Heisman Trophy winning quarterback from Oregon and Auburn. And Denver has a great defense.
Well, he didn't win the
Denver,
Heisman, but
well, yeah, but
he would have liked to.
but he was a Heisman candidate.
Candidate, yeah. So
I,
was so was Grant, by the way. But
yeah. So I would.
everyone's a Heisman
yeah.
candidate.
Well, yeah. I did want to point that out. But Denver is too good at home. Something's got to give.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. This is going to be a very
Come on, give me a pick, man.
tough pick the game. But I want to say the Buffalo Bills slightly win this game by a field goal. It'll be a low scoring. It'll be a lot of defense in this game. I would not expect a lot of high scoring in this one. So I think Buffalo, James Cook and James Cook and Kumar Shakmar, those guys will get the win. I'm not picking against Buffalo after what I've seen from
Buffalo by field goal.
from
Buffalo
them
by field
last
goal.
week in Jacksonville. But yes, Buffalo by field goal.
I got to go Denver by field goal. I feel like, and Grant, I'll come to you next. I feel like Denver's being a little bit weirdly disrespected as a one seed. So I think Denver is actually much better than people are saying. So I got Denver in a slight victory. I don't know how you see this one, Grant, but
Yeah, I think that the playing a mile high, like Jackson said, is a challenge there, but I think the Bills are up to it. Just a lot of too much Josh Allen, too much James Cook. I think that they're going to be able to go there on the road and win. I don't know which time this game is going to be, but I think probably a 4 o'clock game on
so
Sunday,
it's
maybe
4:30 Eastern,
4:30 on
which would make it
CBS.
2:30 local. Yeah.
2:30 local. So yeah, I think again too much Josh Allen. They'll get out there, get adjusted to the climate, but yeah, I like the Bills.
Yeah. Mike, what do you think?
So this is the 6 years, sixth year in a row that the Bills have been in the division playoffs. So they've been there,
Right.
and they got the monkey off their back last week by winning on the road. So that's done with. That 10-yard tush push with Allen in the fourth quarter against the Jaguars. That 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 seals it. Bills will win by a field goal.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Heavy Bills. BL, what do you think about this one? You gonna go Bills as well? I'll take your silence as a yes. I'm gonna be the only one picking Denver in this one. So when the Broncos win on Saturday, everyone give your respects to me. Uh, Game on
Yeah, but you
Saturday night.
picked Oregon.
Well, yeah. I picked Oregon at the beginning of the playoffs, so I stuck with them against Indiana, and I quickly realized the error of my ways, Mike. So
Oh, and
that's
by the way, their quarterback Devontae Moore is returning
Dante
for
Moore.
his first senior season. So I look for him for his name to be called in the 2027 NFL draft.
Fair enough. Fair
Right.
enough. Okay, game on Saturday night. You can probably tell by Jackson's jersey and Mike's background where they're leaning, but the Seahawks, number one seed in the NFC, are hosting the 49ers, who themselves coming off of a impressive victory in Philadelphia. Maybe you'd chalk that down to the Eagles uh, shooting themselves in the foot offensively, but give credit to the banged up Niners. They're missing a lot of key players. For that reason, I'm on Seattle. I think the home field advantage, the Niners' injuries eventually catch up to them. So I'm picking Seattle. Jackson, I'm assuming you're on Seattle as well.
I am, but I do want to. I do want to. But I do want to give our claps and praises for Uncle Mike picking the 49ers over the Eagles last week. I just because he called it and he got it right. I just want to get our claps to him for for that pick from last week. Now,
Absolutely.
as for the game this week for from the from the 49ers from their win last week in Philly, heading into another road game out there in the Pacific Northwest, out in Lumen Field, where the 12's going to play. And I just got to say, this place is going to be rocking. The 12s are going to be rolling. They are going to go. They are going to be. It's going to be the biggest game that they've ever seen out there in Seattle. But Sam Darnold, as a quarterback since he was the Vikings, has been has been facing and dealing with a lot of pressure. So I think if the Seahawks do everything right, that would be don't turn the ball over, don't take any interceptions, don't make any mistakes, don't draw pass interference on the defense on the defense side of the ball. Just don't
Yeah.
get too cute. Don't make too many mistakes. Don't do anything stupid or silly. So I
Just let
would
your
say
defense.
that's right. That's right. So I think Renner Williams and and Kenneth Walker and Sam Darnold. But my point is that you just don't know what this is the NFL playoffs. Any given play can happen. So
Right.
I can pretty much see this game going either way, and there could very well be seeing a upset in this one too. So I would just tell you that there will be some booing and cheering in front of our. We watch the whole family. We watch the game, so there will be cheering and booing at the same time, no matter the result. But I'm just going to be stuck with my family watching the game on the TV on that day.
So back and forth game, but ultimately you like Seattle.
Game. Yes, I think there's going to be a lot of fireworks and a lot of scoring this one. It'll be like a 2-score close game. So I do have Seattle winning this one by a close game, but it'll be very close.
Okay.
But I expect Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy and George Kittle's out in this one, and their defense
They
is
got to
very
carry the load for
for
sure.
the
Yeah,
49ers. So I think.
yeah.
But I think Christian McCaffrey will rely on the ball more often.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah.
I know y'all have apps that
I think
drinks.
you're on.
or
I'm gonna you, Blake. Grant, you're on. What do you got in this one? You like Seattle as well?
Yeah, I like Seattle. I mean, I heard the stat that Eric Kendricks was sitting on his butt and not playing football for a couple weeks ago, and then they all of a sudden needed the fourth string linebackers playing for San Francisco. So I look at that and I'm like, wow, I don't know how the Eagles lost to these guys. So I think that there is a lot of like they're going to play with a lot of heart, but I think ultimately the Seahawks are going to be too much. And I like a Charbonnet touchdown. Charbonnet, love it.
Okay. Put your flyers on the Charbonnet anytime touchdown. Mike, what do you think about this game?
Seattle's win. I think the 49ers without George Kittle at their tight end is going to hurt their offense.
Mm.
And of course, Josh Jones is going to be out for the on the offensive line for Seattle, and Sam Darnold is questionable.
Yeah, he picked up a bit of a knock, it seems like,
But
but
I think he'll play. But that just tells me that the Seattle's got to get their run game in.
I
Right.
don't think it's going to be a pretty game. I think
Yeah,
it's going to be a bit of a defensive slugfest, and
but
I think that will suit
yeah,
Seattle personally.
but
But yeah.
defense wins championships,
Absolutely.
and
That's
the
true.
Seahawks defense
It's top
is
notch.
much better than the 49er offense.
Right.
But let's remember, Kyle Shanahan is 4-0 in the divisional round, and he knows and he finds his next man up mentality. And even without Fred Warner and George Kittle and Ricky Parcell, they always seem to find a way in those playing this underdog mentality. So I would definitely look for that. But yeah, I expect this one's going to be a very close game.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's jump to Sunday, gentlemen. We got some couple good matchups here, starting with the Houston Texans coming off of their smiting of the Steelers. They sent Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers packing, didn't they? Literally and figuratively. They're traveling up to New England, who they themselves, bit of a scrappy game against the Chargers. Maybe you'd say they struggled a little bit to put that game away, but the Chargers really struggled in that one. So this is an interesting one. Mike, I've jumped to you. I've got a feeling you're feeling an upset here. I don't know why, but I just feel like this of the games to pick, this is the one to pick an upset in terms of who's favored. I kind of like Houston in this one. Am I crazy?
No, I mean this to me this could go either way, but I've got the Patriots winning a very close one at
Okay.
home.
Okay. So you're still in New
Um,
England.
yeah. Patriots going to have to protect May, but I think May will do it. Uh, they got a good run game. I'm not sure if the Texas offense can help their defense.
Right.
And I think that's the big question mark in my mind is that. I mean, you look at it, they're mirror images of each other. The Texans are number 2 in defense, but 19 in offense. Patriots are 23rd in defense, but number 3 in offense. Although the Patriots defense last it's coming around. I mean they're playing better than they had been at the, towards the beginning and the middle of the season. So I see a Patriot victory at Foxborough this weekend.
Yeah, I don't know what is. I like Houston in a slight one here. I feel like they're kind of going under the radar despite being a really good defense
Yeah,
themselves.
I would not be surprised if the Texans end up winning,
Yeah.
but I just have a feeling that Patriots will pull it out.
Yeah, this could be an interesting one. Obviously, the home field there. I've got Houston slightly. Grant, what do you think about this one, man?
Yeah, I mean, I watching that defense score a couple times last week, I think that was, a little bit eye-opening to me. I think their defense is so good, and I don't know, interested to see if it's going to hinge on Drake May, whether they can protect him or not. I don't know that they can. I think Danielle Hunter and, of course, the guy from Bama, the outside linebacker. I mean, like they just pressure the quarterback constantly. So I kind of like them. I like the Houston Texans to go up there, get it done. I think C.J. Stroud will hopefully get a couple passes in. Now the big thing is if Nico Collins plays for them. If Nico Collins doesn't play, I think that the Patriots probably will win. But if Nico Collins is in concussion protocol right now, he's got to clear it by Saturday, I believe. So got to have him. Got to have a number one option at receiver in order to
Yeah.
even have a chance.
I remember Stroud had one interception and 5 fumbles.
He was not great in that game, despite the victory, was
Eh,
he?
They
Yeah.
only lost 2 of the fumbles, but still. And
Well, hopefully, he doesn't
You
eat
know,
his popcorn before this one.
yeah. But and again, that was against the Steelers, and
Yeah.
I think the Patriots are a much better team than the Steelers.
Yeah, definitely a more complete team for sure. Jackson, quickly, what do you like who you like in this game, man?
Man, this is a close one. I'm taking a lot of defense this one, so I'm going to go um, with the Patriots on this one.
Patriots slight one. Okay.
Yeah, so I think Stephon Diggs and Travion Harrison and Drake May, those guys will just step it up and just make big plays. And if they do all that, then I'm going to slightly go Patriots in this one.
Yeah, yeah. Sounds like we're pretty split on this one. This one could be a really close game as well. So I would say away from a bettor's perspective, this one could go either way for sure. Last game on Sunday, really interesting matchup here. The LA Rams coming off a tight victory here in North Carolina against the Panthers, tighter than a lot of people would have thought in the end, wasn't it? They're traveling to Chicago, who they themselves are coming off of a crazy game against the Packers, where they pulled that one out where a lot of people didn't think they would. I mean, this Bears team has got something about them. Obviously, new head coach Ben Johnson, second year Caleb Williams. Something seems to be working there in terms of that combination. But the Rams have the experience on their side, don't they? Sean McVay's been in this situation before. Matthew Stafford been in this situation before. Traveling to Chicago, it's going to be cold. The crowd is going to be into it. The Rams are favored in Chicago. Gosh, this is also a tough one to call. Me personally speaking, ah, I wanna pick the Bears. I'm rooting for the Bears, but I think the Rams are gonna win by a field goal. Mike,
Mhm.
how do you see this one?
I think one of the keys to this game is going to be the Bears tight end. I don't think Loveland is a I think Loveland is mismatched against the Rams linebackers. And if Williams can hit Loveland, I think the Bears definitely have a chance. But I think the Rams are just too good. Um, the Bears got one of the poor run defenses, and I think that'll keep Williams off the field.
Yeah,
The Rams are just going to run the
could be a
ball.
big game for Kyron Williams on the Rams side. Yeah,
hmm And I'd like to see the Bears win, but I don't see it happening.
yeah, yeah. Similar. Grant, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I think the Rams, again, you get tested, Carolina sneaky place to play last week. I think that they really are going to have a kind of a get right. Like we're going to just crush the team that we're playing next. I sneaky mystique kind of thing, but Devontae Adams used to tear up the Bears every single time he played with them. We played
Hmm.
against them when he was with the Packers. So
Yeah,
I think he gets in that building, gets in the mode a little bit. There's gonna be a lot of attention on Puka Nakua. I think that the Devontae Adams, if he's feeling good from the hamstring, if he can go as hard as he can, I think he's going to have a big game, and I think that the Rams run away with it. Love what they're doing in Chicago. Colt, again,
they're
but it's
building
just
there.
they're building something. But I think that this is not the year. I think they got to get some more pieces on the defense in order for them to be able to compete at this level.
Yeah, yeah. Fair enough. Jackson, last word to you.
Um, okay, so I'm checking the weather forecast for Sunday. It's going to be -8 degrees, and it's going to be the
What?
toughest. Yes, you heard me. It's going to be the toughest test Matthew Stafford has yet. Although I will point out that Devontae Adams, as Grant mentioned, has played in cold
I
weather
think you meant 8 degrees,
before.
but still,
As when he was with the Packers, and so
plus eight
that's the
degrees.
well, yeah, that's an advantage right there. So yeah, it's going to be very
So it's going
cold
to be
and
mild.
miserable. Yes, cold and mild and very chilly. And I mean, what do you expect? It's Soldier Field. They call it the frozen tundra for a reason. I mean, it's Chicago. I mean,
Right.
it's known to get cold up there during this time of year. And so I think for me, heading this game, yeah, this is going to be a high scoring affair. A lot of points back and forth. And Caleb Williams, I mean, if you look at the comeback that he did last week, last Saturday in the wild card round against the Packers, well, think about it. They didn't score a touchdown in the first half. They kicked field goals, which is mind-boggling to me. And I'm like spinning out of my head after after watching this game last week, last Saturday night on TV with me and my dad, and then next thing I know, like Packers got back. Packers got next thing you know, Packers are back in this one-score game, only down by 10, tied the game, and then retake the lead. This game had so many lead changes in the last round, and then the Packers had one last chance in the end zone for Jordan Love, except on a fourth down call in fourth down territory, except he did not except one of his targets and playmakers did not catch the ball in the end zone, and that was the difference right there. And that one's going to sting and hurt on Matt LaFleur because there are going to be a lot of question marks in the offseason about Matt LaFleur's contract in Green Bay. And I'm sorry that Tim Dalton is listening, which I hope he is, but his Packers lose in heartbreaking fashion in a tough one, and that got me thinking that Matt LaFleur, if you remember, before he accepted the Green Bay Packers job, he was on the Falcons coaching staff, and they blew a 28-3 lead in Super Bowl 51 against the Patriots. Well, I'm sorry to say this, but it was in a very similar kind of outcome and feel for under Matt LaFleur during his coaching tenure in the NFL. But that's just really how it is. It never happens, but that's just how it is in the NFL. It's playoffs. Anything can happen, and that's really how it all said and done. And to close out for my game prediction for tonight.
Yeah, what's the pick?
The pick is that I'm going to go Rams in this one. I think.
Okay, we're all on the Rams.
Puka Nacua, Brian Young, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, and Devontae Adams, and those guys, they will get it done. And I think the Rams will win this one in a very close, hard, back and forth, exciting game. So there's going to be a lot of opposites in this one. So I'm picking the Rams to win this game in this one.
I love it.
Yeah, fair enough. Could be a shootout. I think we got some really fun matchups here, and I think that will close us out here on Good Guy Sports. I want to say thank you to Jackson, Mike Roby, and of course, returning special guest Grant Radakovich. I want to say thank you for everyone viewing and listening, and I hope you enjoy the end of the college football season on Monday night. A great matchup, some great divisional round matchups that we just previewed as we're leading up to the Super Bowl here on Good Guy Sports. So stay tuned with us. Jackson, Mike, Grant, thank you, and everyone listening and viewing. Have a great weekend.
Oh, and before we go, I do want to wish my dad
Jack.
A happy birthday. Today's his birthday. And
happy birthday,
yes,
David.
Happy birthday, David Gerke. And we wish him well. And I hope you're listening, but happy birthday from all of us here on Good Guy Sports.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Right,
Night, gentlemen.